The man and the reason. I am speaking to you from this patriarchal seat. Samael Aun Weor. My dear Gnostic brothers and sisters, today we are going to study the man and the reason. Most of the human beings living in the world only possess the subjective rationalism, and they have not yet developed the objective reason. It is good to understand that the subjective reason has its foundation in the sensual data and elaborates its concepts in relation to the information received through the senses. It is urgent to understand that the objective reason has as foundation the information that comes from the consciousness. The subjective reason results very poor because it is completely trapped by the five senses. The concepts that are developed by the external sensorial perceptions are really poor. The subjective rationalism cannot know anything about the real, about the mysteries of life and death, about truth. If the concepts are elaborated only with the information received from the external senses, undoubtedly we will be able to move only in a circle. This circle is a vicious one. It is the three-dimensional earth of Euclid. How the subjective reason could know anything about the real if only knows which belongs to the external senses? How could it know the real? What could the subjective reason know about the mysteries of life and death, about the soul and the being? Immanuel Kant, the philosopher of Königsberg, clearly demonstrated that the subjective reason cannot know anything about God or the truth. And this is obvious. If the rationalism of somebody is just based in the information received through the external sensorial perceptions, then obviously all that information has to circulate in the field of the five senses. It can never get out of that orbit. If we want to know something beyond the five senses, something about the truth and the mysteries of life and death, about what is beyond the three-dimensional region of Euclid, it is clear that we must develop in our internal psychic constitution the objective reason. Those that do not have the objective reason are only automatic machines that receive and transmit planetary energies to the interior of Earth. Those who already have the objective reason are not under this law and can become sacred individuals. The objective reason has its foundation in the information that the essence receives. It is good to know that in the essence are the particles of pain of our secret Father, and that when those particles are used, we can awake the consciousness. In the essence is the religion, the Buddha's knowledge and all the necessary information to achieve the revolution of consciousness. The human personality normally does not understand the developed objective reason. Those that do not have a developed objective reason are unable to understand the information deposited in the essence. It is convenient to know that the objective reason is nourished with the essence's informations and with the intuitive perceptions that come from the superior worlds. In ancient times, Lemurian people used to have a developed objective reason. Many people in Atlantis also had this kind of reason. The men of the polar period and the Hyperboreans obviously also had the objective reason. It is lamentable that in this era of Kali Yuga are just few those that have developed in their inner nature the objective reason. The subjective rationalism is in fashion and predominates in these times. The subjective reason forms the Kalkian personalities. The pseudo-occultists, pseudo-esoterists, pseudo-scientists, etc. are the Kalkian personalities of these modern times, with all different kinds of knowledge and silliness. There have never been so much darkness as in the age of Kali Yuga, the few that have developed the objective reason, in fact, have access to the pure science. They can distinguish between the pseudoscience of Kali Yuga and the pure science. These Kalkian personalities, these genius of the subjective rationalism, have never had access to the pure science. One example of pure science in opposition to the ultra-modern science is the following. The scientists of the Babel Tower send into space spaceships badly manufactured that are propelled by combustion. Observing this situation through a logic comparison, we can see in one side the subjective reason, the spaceship of the pseudoscientists, and in the other hand, the pure science and the objective reason. When one speaks about extraterrestrial spaceships that can travel from galaxy to galaxy, obviously there are many skeptics, but a celebrated doctor from NASA has already studied one of those spaceships and have written a book about it. What we are saying have a complete official confirmation. The men of subjective rationalism have the pretension to invent a serum for long life, but they have never managed to immortalize anyone. Famous men as Eisenhower and Stalin and many others died surrounded by great scientists and doctors. These are the miracles of the subjective rationalism. In opposition, the men of the pure science, the great alchemists of the Middle Ages and of all times, through the philosopher's stone, so badly understood by people of modern times, managed to obtain the elixir of long life, and with it they are able to live for millions of years. What we are saying naturally will make laugh the people of subjective rationalism. These people would never accept these affirmations, these type of ideas. We truly need to get out of the mere subjective reasoning. It is clear that we could not deny the 7 different levels of being, the 7 different type of people, the 7 different type of men, using the word man in the first 4 cases only in a conventional manner, as there exist the intellectual, emotional, motor, instinctive, and sexual centers. So there also exist different types of men. Some will have their center of gravity in the instinctive center. Others will have it in the motor brain or motor center. Others in the emotional center, and some in the intellectual center, etc. There is not doubt that the person who is absolutely instinctive moves in a form that is almost one-dimensional, and that he goes from the pleasant to the unpleasant, and that is all. This class of people obviously do not like anything that could hurt their comfort. They just want their agreeable pleasures. We can find in the second level the people purely emotional. These people clearly unfold in the world of the inferior emotions. They do not understand reasoning. Their life is based in sensations. The third class of people belong to the level of total intellectualism. They have their center of gravity in the brain. They have in their intellect the subjective reason and have not developed the objective reason. They want to relate everything to their universe of syllogisms, to the inductive methods, to the analytical processes based exclusively in the 5 senses. They could never understand anything that is outside of the circle of subjective conceptualism. Their reasoning is based in the information collected by the 5 senses, that is to say, sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. All the information that arrive to their intellect have for foundation the external senses. When any information arrives to the intellectual center and it does not have external data, it is simply repelled because it has not understood. It is not possible to these people to understand things that do not belong to the intellect. The fourth level of man is different. In the fourth level, we find the perfect development and harmonic equilibrium of all the centers. In the fourth level, we find perfect harmony and rhythmical concordance in the functions of the five centers of the human machine. In order to arrive at the fourth level, we have to develop the five centers totally. No one could develop the five centers of the machine if he rejects all the activities that exist in the world. All the things of the world are useful for the development of every part of the centers. We must know that every center of the machine possesses different parts. The sexual center works harmoniously and reaches its harmonious development through the transmutation of the creative energies. The instinctive center does not need any educative rule. It can educate itself because it's the one that keeps us alive. It is the one that regulates all the activities of the organism and direct them wisely. If we would want to teach the instinctive center, we can risk losing life or catching any disease. We should remember that we could not have the heart, liver, or kidneys functions if we would not possess in our nature the instinctive center. The motor center or center of movement is educated by harmonious habits, reviewing carefully all our habits of conduct, eliminating certain habits, eliminating those that are not convenient to us, selecting and learning new habits that are good to us, practicing certain exercises or simply sports like long walks, taking the fresh air, etc. It also unfolds with all the activities related to manual labor like mechanics, driving cars, bicycles, or horse riding or swimming, etc. The emotional center can develop in its superlative form through the cultivation of the arts. We can listen to Beethoven, Mozart, or Liszt to appraise the aesthetic beauty or learn how to paint. The intellectual center can be developed with the study of botany, astrology, medicine, or just with the study of the esotericism, etc. Undoubtedly, no one could arrive at level 3 without having passed through the intermediate levels. If someone is in the instinctive level and wishes to become a more elevated man, he must convert himself in an emotional man. He has to understand that all his activities are absorbed in the instinctive center and that he just lives according with the animal instincts. He will then understand all these things and later will develop in his nature the emotional aspect. So then the first man is the man number 1, the instinctive. The second one is the emotional. The third one is the intellectual. Whoever wanted to fix his center of gravity in the intellect would have to analyze, to understand, and once has developed these 3 centers, we must equilibrate ourselves harmoniously. When someone analyzes carefully the 5 centers of the human machine, he can understand that the Tower of Babel is formed by the men number 1, 2, and 3. In this tower exists the confusion of languages, and no one understands no one. Here are created the wars, and all the conflicts of the human species are formed. Observe carefully the activities of the human race. Observe the wars and the problem of all kind. It is logical that in the Tower of Babel, the problems of all humanity are forged. Beyond this tower, there is the man of the 4th level, are the people who already have the 5 centers of the organic machine in complete balance, are those who no longer have their center of gravity fixed only in the intellect or in the emotional, or exclusively in the question of the instinctive. The men of the 4th level try to find, they want to know something more, they need to inquire, to investigate, They aspire to know the meaning of life. They have the feeling that life must have some significance, and in their yearns they want to know. They do not conform with the intellectual concepts. It is not enough for them, are people that try to find here, there, and everywhere. The men of the fourth level are a hope for the future. There also exist the people of the fifth level. They are few, but they exist. The men of the fifth level have given themselves the luxury of crystallize for their personal use an astral body. Undoubtedly, the crystallization of an astral body is a luxury reserved for a few people. It is not urgent to have an astral body in order to live. The physical body has a vital organic foundation. Clearly, it possesses in itself all the principles that we need to exist. The astral body is different. A person knows he has an astral body when he can use it like his hands or his feet, when he can travel with this vehicle out of the physical body, when he can transport himself to any place of the earth or of the infinite. To form an astral body, we need to transmute the exiohehari, the sacred sperm, into creative energy. This energy is the famous sexual hydrogen, SA12. When this hydrogen becomes crystallized in our cells and in the interior of our organism, it takes the marvelous and extraordinary figure of the astral body. We want to emphasize that this sidereal vehicle also has its own blood and functions. This blood is the hambletzoid of the being. The particles of hambletzoid are contained in the blood of the physical body. The hambletzoid of the being is elaborated with the magnetic vibrations that come from the planets of the solar system. These magnetic vibrations are assimilated by us through the respiration and the pores. It passed through different combinations in our interior and in the end is transformed into the famous hambletzoid of the being that is contained in the veins of the sidereal vehicle. But as I said, we first have to form an astral body. Too many pseudo-occultists and pseudo-esoterists believe that they have this vehicle, but are mistaken. The one that has arrived to the perfect awakening of consciousness can verify personally that the majority of humanity do not possess this vehicle, and that are only a few those who really have it. I am talking in a simple form to those that are listening. I can tell them that those that do not have this vehicle yet, when out their body they look like ghosts, but those that possess the sidereal vehicle, when out of their body they have a clear and definite personality. So it is marvelous to create the astral body. The men of the fifth level have had to fight very much to create this vehicle. I repeat, only through the transmutation of the sacred sperm it is possible to create this vehicle. The astral body in itself is a precious organism regulated by 24 laws. Whoever has the luxury of creating this sidereal vehicle needs to feed it. Only through the transmutation is it possible to feed this vehicle. All the external impressions, if they are properly transmuted by us, will be converted into hydrogen 24, and this hydrogen properly transmuted by us will be transformed into hydrogen 23 that serves to feed the astral body. The external sensorial impressions are hydrogen 48. And we have explained this already. A person can transmute the hydrogen 48 into hydrogen 24. When someone learns to check the mechanical reactions, he is transmuting the hydrogen 48 into 24. To learn to receive with pleasure the unpleasant manifestations of our life is the key to transmute the hydrogen 48 into 24. To overcome the temptations provided by the sensorial world, by the physical world, is the system to transform the hydrogen 48 into 24. Never react with violence in the process of the impacts provided by the external world. It is also a way to transform the hydrogen 48 into 24, etc., etc., etc. Beyond the people of the fifth level are those that belong to the sixth level. We understand for men of the sixth level, those who have developed in themselves the objective reason, those who possess an individual mental body. The mistake of so many pseudo-occultists and pseudo-esoterists is precisely to believe that all people have a mental body. Whoever has awakened completely in the superior worlds of cosmic consciousness can evidence in a direct way with the spatial sense the crude reality that people do not have a mental body. Really, only the men of the sixth level are the ones who possess this body, the mental body, the body of the objective reason. This body is something marvelous. People do not have just one mind. They have too many minds. Every psychological defect we have in our interior is personified by an I. Evidently, we have too many eyes, and each one of these has its individual criterion, its own manner of work. Each one of the eyes that live in our interior is like a different person. Now you will understand why we make a clear and emphasize the fact that the human being is just a machine. We will also understand why there are so many contradictions in every person. He who swears eternal love to his partner is the same person who later says he does not have any relation with such an oath. There is the other I who swears loyalty to the Gnosis, and another who has not interest in the Gnosis at all. All of these I's possess its own mind. So in every person there are so many minds as I's exists. Only those that have made the mental body possess individual minds. This body is elaborated, it is crystallized by the transmutation of the sacred sperm. Those who have reached level number 6 obviously had to create for themselves the mental body. This vehicle is fed by the hydrogen 12. When we learn to transmute the impressions of the physical world, we create the hydrogen 12 that feed the mental body. Whoever possesses the mental body can use this body to travel from planet to planet, also possesses the objective reason. Far beyond the man of the sixth level is the man number 7. It is the causal man, the man that has made the body of conscious will. The causal body is an authentic man. Now, many esoterists will understand why we emphasize clearly that the causal world is the world of the Grand White Lodge. That lodge is the real religion of man, is the temple of the occult fraternity. The masters of the Grand White Lodge have their center of gravity firmly established in the causal world, and from there they project themselves to the mental or astral or physical world. So the man of the 7th level is the causal man, the true and authentic man. To form the causal body, we have to transmute the sacred sperm. Just as it is possible to create the mental body with the manipulation of the sexual hydrogen Si12, this body feeds itself with the hydrogen 6. It is clear that the leftover of the hydrogen 12 that served to feed the mental body is transformed into hydrogen 6, which goes to feed the causal body. So, in the world of the natural causes, we find the authentic men, the real men. They work in those regions helping humanity. From there, they project themselves to the diverse worlds, helping the suffering people and working in favor of the grand cause. The causal man has incarnated in himself his psychic and spiritual principles. The man number 7 is the authentic man. the man that has got soul, he who possesses spirit and who has the superior existential bodies of the being, that man can truly incarnate divinity. The Nahuatl traditions say that gods made the men of wood, and after having created them, they fused with the divinity. They also affirm in the old Mexican codices that not all the men achieved the fusion with the divinity. Therefore, it is urgent to understand that in order to be a true man, we have to have created the superior existential bodies of the being. But really, that is not all. Those that do not fuse themselves with their inner logoi, with their internal divinity, will fall. They will have to involutionate through the submerged worlds until the second death is fulfilled. Then they will begin a new evolutive journey. So it is not enough to create the men. It is necessary to achieve the integration with the divine, and that is very important. When a man does not fuse with divinity, he becomes a Hanasmusin with a double center of gravity, and those Hanasmusins have involutioned inevitably. There exists 4 classes of Hanasmusins. The first one are those who just possess the physical body, are those dedicated to evil. The ego elaborates in them certain substances that make of them Hanasmusins. Usually they are people dedicated to black magic. Fortunately, this kind of Hanasmusins are mortals. They do not possess the superior existential bodies of the being. Whoever has not created an astral body after death is not more than a legion of devils, a heap of E's that function here and there. They move in all directions. They do not have an authentic existence. They are people that do not have immortality. When these eyes return, they form a new personality. Whoever possesses an astral body is different. Although they have achieved the immortality, they are devoted to black magic. These are the Hansmusins of second type. If these Hanasmusins in new existences do not eliminate that something fatal that make them to be Hanasmusins, then they will have to return in animal organisms and involutionate in animal bodies until that something fatal is eliminated. The third type of Hanasmusins are those who created the superior existential bodies of the being. They are real man in the most complete sense of the word, but they did not dissolve the ego and went through the way of darkness. These Hanasmusins, if do not eliminate that something fatal of Hanasmusin, will have to involutionate inside of the earth, in the infernal worlds until the second death. Finally, there exists the fourth kind of Hanasmusin. This is formed for those that achieve the states of angels, archangels, principalities, powers, virtues, thrones, cherubs, etc., etc., etc. If they do not eliminate that something of Hanasmusins, that fatal breath formed by the black magic or sorcery, they will have to go through the involution within the entrails of the earth until the second death. This is what Dante wrote about in the Divine Comedy. Concrete example of this last kind of Hanasmusins, we have it in the following personages: Andramelech, Moloch, Nahima, Lilith, etc. These creatures arrived at superior angelic states. Moloch, for example, was a throne, and now is an inhabitant of the infernal worlds. He is a Hanasmusin in the most complete sense of the word. He belongs to the fourth kind of Hanasmusins. So a Hanasmusins is not more than a failure of the cosmic mother, an abortion of the divine mother. Whoever is creating the superior existential bodies of the being and do not want to convert himself into a Hanasmusin will have to fight against themselves to eliminate the inhuman elements that are loaded in the interior. This means the elimination of the psychological I, to reduce to cosmic dust all those elements that constitute the ego, the I, the myself, so we can save ourselves from the danger of being converted into a Hannas Musin with a double center of gravity. Inferential peace. Samael Aun Weor.